Fuck, did you pick up the new Zelda?
I'm not a big fan of Zelda, I'll be honest. I never really got too big into it. It was never really my thing.
Everyone I know is playing the new Zelda game, and I just don't. I don't know, man. It's like when everyone bought fucking Cyberpunk, and I was like, it's gonna be shit, and
Yeah,
it
it
was
was.
shit. I called it 3 years when it got announced.
Yeah,
Everyone
fair
kept
enough.
telling me, "Oh, it's gonna be fantastic." I even called my one buddy because I remember him telling me about Cyberpunk and how great it's gonna be, and I remember like years ago when he told me the same whole thing about fucking No Man's Sky. I called him like a couple weeks after Cyberpunk came out, like, so it No Man's Sky, dude, did it? And he's like, it's good. It's good now. They patched it. I'm like, yeah, that's what I hear about No Man's Sky. It's good now after they patched it, worked
Right?
on it
Took
some
all
more.
this time. Yeah, hey,
He's
I heard 76 might be good in another, 2 years, maybe. My dumbass pre-ordered that game. Yep. Boy, I had a feeling it was going
It's
to be
like
bad.
every EA game that comes out, I will not buy it at least a year after launch.
Yeah, it's the
Even
best way to do.
Ubisoft, it started to do that. Like Ubisoft used to be a great company that I could like buy games right
Yeah,
away.
no, just you have to wait till
A year,
the full content has come
a
out
year,
and they've patched out all their garbage.
a year. It's always a year. Whenever it comes out, my first thought is it should have been delayed a year. It should have been. It always
Yeah,
should have been. And like the excuse is, I needed to get it out for money. I'm like, no, you would have made more money. It's just putting
take
it
your
out.
time, please. Make a good game.
Like the fact that indie games are getting a better rep for actually making full quality games than AAA developers, that just makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it doesn't take much to make a really solid game. That's why I'm really excited for uh, Dragon Age 4.
Oh, I'm sure
Um,
you are. Oh,
I
this is
love
gonna be so good. Oh,
I love the
probably
Dragon Age series.
EA game, right?
BioWare, it's not the same.
EA game,
They
right?
It was for a time when they had Dragon Age 2 was an EA game.
It
Dragon Age
was.
3 Inquisition was not.
Actually, you know what's funny though? I gotta say, I've played all three. I've beaten one. One was okay. Two was my favorite. And then I have Inquisition, but I just can't bring myself to play it. Like I keep trying, but it just reminds me of this horrible MMORPG I used to play called Rift, and it's just there's
For me,
just
it's like I enjoy the whole series. It's not just quite about the games individually
well, I loved the
because a lot of your stuff
story.
carries over, right? That's kind of
Yeah,
the big sell of the game.
no, I love the story. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that's why I loved The Witcher. I played all three Witchers, and I kept my story. And no, I loved The Witcher for that too. But there's just something like I couldn't bring myself to beat Inquisition. And then when
Mhm.
Origins came out, I just never got it.
Yeah. Well, the only Inquisition was the latest one. That was the last one. They're working on the fourth one
Mm.
soon. Which
You beat Inquisition though, right?
Oh yeah, I platinumed that. I got every
How
trophy.
does it
I
end?
100% of the game.
You
Um.
slept with every
Well,
person. You have to sleep with
well,
everyone.
you don't have to,
My
but
character was a big like I'm just my character was a female Quinari, like those big horny
mm,
girls, and she was a
yeah,
lesbian. Big
nice. I did that. I actually did that too. Is I tried to do that as my really evil playthrough. I did this really angry necromancer, Kinari slut who hung out with the crazy elf chick that was all about starting trouble. It was great. But the game kind of ends you go after this magister, who apparently, you learn in the game, was one of the few that started this
it's the
major
head of the
event in
Inquisition,
history.
isn't it?
No, it's not. You actually do find the head of the Inquisition at one point, in the
Oh,
DLC. Well, actually, you're the head, but you find the head of the first Inquisition because this is the second one.
yeah.
And the first Inquisition, he's actually frozen in time, holding a god, like an avatar of a god stuck in place. It's just this ancient dragon possessed by this spirit, essentially, and it's like a tough fight. But he's essentially like the magister that you kill at the end. He's part of this major religious event that essentially brought apart the plague, which are like the blights, to the
Yeah.
world,
Oh, okay.
and he himself is infected with it himself, and has his dragon somewhat infected with it. And then you learn about this stuff. Mages use like mana potions and stuff, right? But there's
Yes.
different colors to it. There's a blue mana, and then there's like a red that they recently discovered, which is corrupted and can
Okay.
infect you. Like this, it's infected with this plague essentially, and
Okay.
essentially it turns you into a giant block of like the mana crystal that it becomes essentially over time.
Okay.
So you become a living like crystal stuck in place. But
Okay.
it turns out all of that is actually the blood of these giant like stone golems that are essentially the physical world.
The world is a bunch of stone golems.
Yes,
That's actually pretty badass.
because they're all like different floating land masses, right? And there's seas and everything, and each land mass is essentially a floating golem.
And they're alive?
Yes,
Do they like fight each other?
that's something that people have been hoping to see in the next one because you just found out about them, and you just found out like they've been around before prehistory, essentially.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah, but they, like I said, this is
So
how you found out about
they're
them.
these massive golems that live underwater, and whatever
And
bit of them
their
that's
backs and their shoulders are pretty much they're like popping out of the ground.
yeah.
Yeah.
But how fast? They can't move very fast then.
No, they actually the essentially the dwarves are made of the blood of their children, and they live inside of these titans and are essentially mining them away. But they also take care of them in a sense in that regard. They can't let the stone keeps growing, but it also has to be mined away. It's weird. I don't know.
That's actually so cool.
It gets very interesting. You find out the elves before were fighting against dwarves because they were trying to just harvest all of their blood for the magic, essentially, and to
Inside
use it
these
for their
golems
spells. Yeah, so they were
because
having war between the elves and the
they
dwarves for
wanted
the
to
longest time.
kill the golems.
Yeah, because they built all of their towns with magic, so they would have floating cities and stuff like that. Like
So they
they
wouldn't
wouldn't
care
they
if
didn't.
all these giant
Yeah,
golems sunk beneath the water.
exactly.
But that they must move slow because if they're alive and they're the size of a continent, I'd imagine
Yeah, the idea is it's as the planet drifts, it's essentially the golems moving essentially, right?
that's actually freaking so cool.
Yeah, I learning about it, it blew my mind. Like I thought it's super awesome in that the game. And then the elves ended up having some infighting, which essentially caused one
Fucking
of
elves.
a person that was in between like a Loki character essentially. He separated all the magic from the world essentially, and he split it into what is essentially they called the Fade, but it's like the dream realm
Yeah,
where when
yeah, yeah,
humans
yeah,
came
yeah.
about, right? And this is where all the spirits and demons would live, and when you dream, you would go there. And then when he cast the spell, he fell into a coma for thousands of years.
So I see.
And then that's the elf you meet in Inquisition that's trying to help you. He just woke up
He
when that happens.
just woke up.
Yeah. And the
That's
the
cool.
the thing that's used to tear open the sky is his artifact that he gave to this magister because he was too weak to unlock it.
And so the Magister just used it for evil.
Yeah, he used it on like the most holiest like their pope essentially during a time of peace talks between a war between Templars and mages. During their peace summit conference, he pretty much had
Isn't that
this
isn't
extermination force of the plague
I thought
kidnap everyone
that's
in the thing and then sacrifice her and blow it up. But then your character in Inquisition interrupts it. And that's how you can close all these rifts down with this crazy magic
I
artifact.
thought that was the end of Dragon Age 2.
No, Dragon Age 2 is
You
the start of the Mage War.
and you yeah, you never get to see it.
Yeah. You hear about it in Inquisition. You kind of see it a little bit in Inquisition at the beginning of the game, but it ends kind of quickly after the first act.
Yeah, because the end is so epic. You go to the palace and it just explodes because
Hmm.
the paladin has just become militaristic.
Yeah, so
And
she's using a sword that's embedded with this red lyrium, which is the blood
yeah,
of the
yeah.
corrupted titans, right? And then she turns into the crystal of one, essentially, right? But her sword remains,
So you
and you
get to
actually get
fight her in
sold on.
Inquisition?
No, but you get to face other Templars. Depending on what you choose in the first game or in the first choice, if you save the mages, you fight Red Templars, and then if you save the Templars, you fight like evil cult mages, essentially.
So no matter what, whoever you save, the other one gets forsaken.
Pretty much. You can kind of save them, but it's not everyone. There's
Because
like
I
there's
forget
always a bad.
who
There's no way to do it for
I
everyone.
think I picked both. Like I went back and did both endings where I saved the Templars and then saved the mages.
What essentially that first choice does, it sets up your semi boss battle before the big fight that you have like just before the final quest,
Hmm.
and it ends up being like your adversary, and it's this like elf mage or this other red Templar that your Templar used to know, and you see him in other games too.
Just
You
some
see him
Templar
in
that
number
I
two.
used to know.
Yeah.
He's
And he gets
just
like
some,
super crazy crystal like armor, and it's you have
just
to do like a
some
whole quest
Templar
to break
that I
it.
used to know. I don't need your love.
And when your character gets further on in Inquisition, you find a well to one of these elven, essentially gods, one of the leaders of these elven races, which they used to have. They used to be slavers, essentially. So they had like a higher class, and they considered themselves gods for being magic casters.
I mean,
And
all this sounds
this
so cool, but
it's amazing, but it takes a bit to get through and understand and look into it. Like
I
I'm a
can
big
hearing all this and the way you explain it, I can see why The Witcher did better in the end.
fair enough. I
Like
mean,
The Witcher,
it's a whole different story.
well, it is, but in way less storytelling. Like I can hear what you're saying, but it's still the world still feels small. Think about
There's
the
there's a
Witcher
lot more to it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
is like everything you learn in The Witcher just makes the world bigger.
That's kind of how it is for Dragon Age as well, because they're everything you learn kind of shatters a different thing that you thought was bad. Like in
But
Origins, you pass the plague, right?
it
This is
just
supposed to
sounds
be
like
world-ending event,
just sounds like
and
M Night Shyamalan was like jerking off in the Dragon Age story bin.
no, it's a little bit better than that.
Another twist! Ah, another twist!
No, there aren't a lot of twists. They're pretty straightforward, I'll be honest. Some of them, like, they're really cool. Like, the dwarves learn how to make metal golems, but they end up having to use the souls of the people who to make them, essentially. And
What?
they end up. This whole kingdom ends up. This dwarvish king essentially takes all of his criminals and all of his slaves to become this golem force to protect their kingdom against the plague. And you
But
get to make a decision if you want to bring back the artifact to do it, or if you want to kill its creator that was defending it and wants to see it destroyed. And if you do give it to them, it sets up a whole thing for the dwarves. Like they have a whole new powerhouse, but they're using this like morally object kind of like object, right?
so
It's up to you, right? That's the whole point. I've used it in some of my playthroughs. It depends.
what happens in the
I
end? Do you get a giant golem army?
You do actually. You get a
Well,
when you
you
fight in
always.
Origins. In the Origins, you get to call on. I think you have 6 golems, and they're pretty fucking beefy that you can just call on at any time
In Origin, you
during
just
the
get to
fight.
call on 6 fucking golems.
Yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do
Oh
that?
yeah, I did that too. My first game through too. Plus, then like they have the choices in Origins to you get to save elves or you get to save werewolves. And like if you help the werewolves, you get a werewolf army.
Yeah.
And then if you help the elves, you get elves with bows, and a lot less of them. So like, why the fuck wouldn't I take the werewolves, dude? Like,
Why?
are you
Why?
crazy?
Yeah. Why? What? Like, how many battles? Oh man, Dragon Age is so tedious with its battles too. To be able to
It's
call
not
like
at the end game. It's a little different. It's just one like encounter on the map, and then you can
still
call in
though,
reinforcements that show up to support you in the fight. And then when you go to a new encounter, you can call in different reinforcements.
like to have
But yeah,
any kind of backup in any of the
because you
battles.
actually in the end game for Origins, don't you? If you, I don't know if you beat it, you have to go through that entire castle away, right?
I never
And a lot
played
of times
Origins.
yeah, you have to. You essentially you have to kill this dragon at the top of this castle that you're we're defending, and you have to climb all your way through the entire city and up to the castle. And it's like there's each encounter in different like sections of the city, and like you end up having you can do a split side quest if you have your extra if you have, still have more than your regular amount of companions. You can leave a command like a second in charge in your commander like in your companions, and they'll stay back and fight a huge wave of fucking darkspawn. That actually makes a difference in the battle later on. You don't fight as many if you have them hanging out.
Yeah, if you can have more. Nah. Well, I mean, if I could have more than 4 companions, yeah, no
Well,
doubt.
you can have only four with you, but you can find like
Oh
10 or
yeah,
12,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you have those companions, they'll stay at the front of the city and they'll block off the reinforcements that are supposed to come to
I
support
always look
the
for all
demon.
the companions in those games. So
Yeah,
useful.
they're awesome.
But like I was saying, if I could any point in that game, if I can call any kind of backup, like meat shields, just meat
Yeah,
shields, Jesus, because like the one thing that game teaches you is action economy. Because if
yeah,
you are not on top of your action economy, you like the one thing I
yeah. You get
hated
fucked in
about
pretty quick.
Dragon Age is there was very, 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 very few battles where I got to play in real time. Because if I played in
Yeah,
real time, my mage would always attack the wrong thing, and the fighter would aggro the wrong thing, and then my
yeah. Well, for
party would die.
Inquisition, it was really good that they brought in that because a lot of times they kind of had like a pause thing, but it wasn't quite so
Well, that's
like.
why I loved Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition is you had the pause button and you could pause every second. So every second, I would literally be sitting there, pause, set up everyone's attacks and next move, unpause, everyone does it, pause, do it
I
again,
wouldn't do that.
pause.
I was pretty on top of my. I would have a lot of things that my characters would use, and then I would just watch their cooldowns, and I would just switch between them during the cooldowns.
Mm-mm, no way. Some of the hardest, I was able to do some of the hardest battles at a level I shouldn't have been able to do it at because action economy. That's how I
Fair
got
enough. Yeah,
so good. That's why
I didn't use it that much. I'll be honest.
that's why when we started playing D&D and Jeremy kept looking at me and giving me character sheets, he just kept he asked me, he's like, "Are you sure you can control all these?" I'm like, "Yeah, you don't understand. You don't understand how good I am with action economy."
Fair enough,
What, we're
yeah,
all level 1 but we're fighting a level 20 a CR 20 demon? How many people do I have? 50?
yeah.
Oh, we win. What? Oh, we win.
Good chance on that one. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for our sessions, my I think I made I the future twist kind of caught me off guard. I'll be really honest because I had a lot of ideas and plans that were
Me
driven
too.
around setting up the city like we had kind of like had in mind.
But
And
As Jeremy told me, he needed us to do something.
I know, yeah, we
It
were kind
wasn't
of doing
it
things, but
it
I know,
wasn't
yeah.
it wasn't about destroying the city. It wasn't about our NPCs. From the way he just told me is he was just getting tired of playing like for 3 weeks and each session 6 hours, and we've done all in all one thing.
Yeah, I
And
know.
we've spent literally 18 hours of
Well,
real
that's because
time
we a
into
lot
it.
of times we were already so divided, so everyone was kind of doing a lot of their own stuff,
That's
and
why, yeah.
having these extra minions kind of fielding for us, we never needed to really do too many things by ourselves together. It was a lot of times just
No,
sending
it,
people
it
out.
felt like being an actual noble.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I had a lot of things in mind for like things going further for that, and like it completely caught me off guard. I had a lot of things go out the window. Some things still could kind of work, but my whole idea was we were pretty much building villains at our own like layer for a potential future party to come across.
that's what I thought. I thought he was gonna like throw a party, and then he did apparently in that paladins. He threw six
Oh boy.
paladins. He threw six paladins, all level 6 and one level 10,
Oh boy.
and he said they just got raffle stomped. They
Yeah.
just got raw. Like he's like that was him trying to throw a party into our
Yeah,
town,
well, that's where we had to actually have armies start to come to our town, right? Like, and we would have had to deal. I would
and
have been
they
down with that. We would have had to deal with like
that army got raffle
each
stomped.
part was like a swarm of dudes. You know, each mini was like
Did you
50
see what
dudes or
happened when
something,
he
right?
tried to invade our town? I took the BBEG, strapped it in chains, and dragged it into the church.
Oh, I know. It was wonderful. Like, it was. I like the idea of it because it also kept Jeremy on his toes to some degree, and we were causing shit to get really weird and out of hand. Of course, things were. I expected things to bounce back, of course, because there's only so many times that you can do the stupid shit that we're doing and have something not kind of blow up in our face. Like I was actually kind of excited in the sense that I blew up the town. I wasn't really happy that we lost the people that we lost, but at least I expected my experiments to cause us drama. I didn't want it to be like big drama, but something, it's within our own city and it's our own problem and we can fix it no problem.
We're talking about our D&D, by the way. We play D&D together, obviously, and we run our villains campaign. His character is the mad scientist Illithid. I am the small warlock pope / cult leader.
Pope.
Yep. Everyone keeps saying I should have been a cleric, but if you think I should have been a cleric, you don't understand warlocks. Warlock and cult leader just works.
I think you could be both. It depends on your wisdom, to be honest.
That's the point. Is I don't have to. You go.
No, you don't have to. Yeah.
That's the point. Is you'd have to go into your wisdom. My character does have a high wisdom, but not as high as my charisma.
Well, that's where it could be like a small thing. Like I think it could also show in a sign of your character of how your patron essentially has gotten to divine status. Right, you start getting cleric levels. And that could be a sign of like having divinity directly given to you.
Yeah,
it's a little different, but you still have
also love my invocations. Are you kidding? I just got
first
invocation.
I don't doubt that.
I'm so excited to use it. Get 2 cantrips a turn. That means
that was me
shots.
when I leveled up, man. And I got the meta magic feat, and then the first time I go to use the meta magic, I set off an alarm in the city.
That was funny.
I was like, I saw it. I did, but I was like, I was sent here to do a thing. So I mean, let's do the Taven thing and see what happens. Like, and then I figured as much. Shit was gonna go sideways, but Sarah was like, Jeremy was really happy. So I'm like, well, I mean, I'm sure he got a good time out of it. I'm more curious to just see what would happen.
Oh, you should have seen his face when he said it. When you said it, you should have seen his face just light up. We all just looked at him. He's like, here we go. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we have hit the hour. Sorry this wasn't really directed, but I mean, if you were here, thanks for watching. Sorry you had nothing better to do.
Still stream, doing our thing,
Yeah, man. Sorry about the asshole in chat. Thank you for deleting it, moderators. Otherwise, I was C4 with my good friend and pal, Insaneiac. This was just chit chat talk show. I might actually put this on the podcast.
Casual chat Sundays.
I might actually put this on the podcast. Otherwise, catch us on podcast, the Villains Talk Show and podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts. We also
look
have
forward
YouTube.
To us growing and getting better because that's all we're going to do.
Look up the Villains Talk Show. I've honestly cornered the market on that name, so only we show up.
We are just going to get better and better, and we want everyone here to be part of it as we go.
We're definitely going to keep growing.
Absolutely.
Don't put goals that we can't achieve.
It's a still pretty vague goal. I wasn't being too specific. We'll get better.
Oh, I hope.
You say as you change out. Credits roll. We hope.